How did the sacrament of marriage, given to us by God in His wisdom, help a king attain salvation and save him from that terrible place of expiation we know as purgatory? To what lengths would a pious widow go to help her beloved husband attain salvation? The sacrament of marriage is a very powerful means and vehicle for salvation, a sacred bond and gift from God to aid our salvation. In this video, we will focus on the book by Father Francois Xavier Schupp, titled Purgatory. Hi, and welcome to another video. If you're new here, please do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button. It does so much great things for the channel. And with that being said, we start off with the sick woman of Dole. In the year 1629, at Dole, Huguet Roy, a woman of the middle station in life, was confined to a bed by inflammation of the lungs, which endangered her life. The physician, considering it necessary to bleed her, in his awkwardness, cut an artery in the left arm, which speedily reduced her to the last extremity. The following day, at dawn, she saw enter into her chamber a young girl clad in white, of the most modest deportment, who asked if she was willing to accept her services and to be nursed by her. The sick person, delighted by the offer, answered that nothing could give her greater pleasure, and instantly the stranger lighted the fire, approached Huguet and placed her gently on the bed, and then continued to watch by her and serve her like the most devoted infirmarian. Contact with the hands of the unknown was one so beneficial that the dying person found herself greatly relieved and soon felt entirely cured. She had a great curiosity to know who the amiable stranger was and called her that she could question her, but she withdrew, saying that she would return in the evening. In the meantime, astonishment and curiosity were extreme when the tidings of this sudden cure spread abroad, and nothing was spoke of in Dole but this mysterious event. When the unknown visitor returned in the evening, she said to Huguet, without trying to disguise herself, "Know, my dear niece, that I am your aunt, Leonard Collin, who died 17 years ago, leaving you an inheritance from her little property. Thanks to the divine bounty, I am saved, and it was the Blessed Virgin, to whom I had great devotion, who obtained for me this happiness. Without her, I was lost. When death suddenly struck me, I was in the state of mortal sin, but the merciful Virgin Mary obtained for me perfect contrition, and thus saved me from eternal damnation. Since that time, I am in purgatory, and our Lord permits me to finish my expiation by serving you during 14 days. At the end of that time, I shall be delivered from my pains, if, on your part, you have the charity to make 3 pilgrimages for me to 3 holy sanctuaries of the Blessed Virgin." Huguet, astonished, knew not what to think of this language. Not being able to believe the reality of the apparition and fearing some snare of the evil spirit, she consulted her confessor, who advised her to threaten the unknown apparition with the exorcisms of the church. This menace did not disturb her. She replied tranquilly that she feared not the prayers of the church. "They have no power," she added, "but against the demons and the damned, none whatsoever against predestined souls who are in the grace of God, as I am." Huguet was not yet convinced. "How," said she to the young girl, "can you be my Aunt Leonard, who was very old and worn, disagreeable and whimsical, whilst you are young, gentle and obliging?" "Ah, my dear niece," replied the apparition, "my real body is in the tomb, where it will remain until the resurrection. This one, which you see, is one miraculously formed from the air to allow me to speak to you, to serve you, and to obtain your suffrages. As regards my irritable dispositions, 17 years of terrible sufferings have taught me patience and meekness. Know also that in purgatory we are confirmed in grace, marked with the seal of the elect, and therefore exempt from all vice. After such explanation, incredulity was impossible. Huguet, at once astounded and grateful, received with joy the services rendered during the 14 days designated. She alone could see or hear the deceased, who came at certain hours and disappeared. As soon as her strength permitted, she devoutly made the pilgrimages which were asked of her. At the end of the 14 days, the apparition ceased. Leonard appeared for the last time to announce her deliverance. She was then in a state of incomparable glory, brilliant as a star, and her countenance bore an expression of the most perfect beatitude. In her turn, she testified her gratitude to her niece, promised to pray for her and her whole family, and advised her to remember, amid the sufferings of this life, the end of our existence, which is the salvation of our soul. This video shows us the importance of service when walking in the way of God. The example that Jesus gives us in the New Testament is that when he washes his disciples' feet. As great as Jesus is, and part of the Trinity, he is able to humble himself and give his disciples the example of service. The historian John Vasquez, in his chronicle of the year 940, relates how Sancho, king of Leon, appeared to Queen Gode, and by the piety of this princess was delivered from purgatory. Sancho, who had led a truly Christian life, was poisoned by one of his subjects. After his death, Queen Gode passed her time in prayer and causing prayers to be offered for the repose of his soul. Not content with having a great number of masses still offered for his release, she continued with prayer and mortification. One Saturday, whilst praying at the feet of the Blessed Virgin and recommending the soul of her departed husband, Sancho appeared to her, but in what condition? He was clad in garments of mourning and wore a double row of red-hot chains about his waist. Having thanked his pious widow for her suffrages, he conjured her to continue her work of charity. "Ah, if you knew, Gode, what I suffer," said he to her, "you would still do more. By the bowels of divine mercy, I conjure you to help me, dear Gode. Help me, for I am devoured by these flames." The queen redoubled her prayers and good works. She distributed alms amongst the poor, caused masses to be celebrated in all parts of the country, and gave to the convent a magnificent ornament for the use of the altar. At the end of the 40 days, the king again appeared. He had been relieved of the burning cincture and of all the other sufferings. In place of his robes of mourning, he wore a mantle of dazzling brightness, like the sacred ornament which Gode had given to the convent. "Behold me, dear Gode," said he, "thanks to your prayers, delivered from all my sufferings. May you be forever blessed. Persevere in your holy exercises. Often meditate upon the severities of the pains of the other life, and upon the joys of paradise, whither I go to await you." With these words, he disappeared, leaving the pious Gode overflowing with consolation. This widow's love for her husband stretches beyond the grave. Not only that, she uses every means available to her to help her deceased husband. This also shows us the importance of marriage, how important it is for salvation of both husband and wife. It is said, the souls in purgatory are never ungrateful. They in turn will help us when we are in need of prayers. A marriage with God is the foundation, and one that has a deep respect and love between both of the spouses is of great importance. For it is from this type of marriage that the widow Gode obtains the motivation and love that she needs to perform great acts of sacrifice and charity for the benefit of her husband who is in the place of expiation. If you're interested in another video that will bring you closer to God, click on the video above and I'll catch you on the next one.